Behind every record in my collection is a story. This is just one of them. The Beastie Boys License to Ill album. Super classic. Super classic. Alright, so check this out, man. The Beastie Boys, such a significant group in hip-hop music. And being how old school hip-hop is my favorite, I really got to put some light on this record right here, man, because, man, the Beastie Boys are significant for so many different reasons. I don't even know how this video is going to go because I know I'm going to miss some things, but I'm just going to tell you what I know off the top of my head. No research done. I don't think I need to research this album. I've owned it forever. I know a lot about the Beastie Boys. I think I might be able to make a decent video about this album right here. So, the album, License to Ill, man. Check out the album cover. I mean, super dope, man. The thing is, I mean, look at this, like, it's a jet, right? And it has the Beastie Boy logo on it. It's like a painting, you know? And it looks pretty, like, powerful, dude. Like, when you see it, it's kind of like, it doesn't really reveal what kind of album it is. This could be a jazz record. It could be a soundtrack. It could be, you know, a heavy metal record. It could be anything, man. It's just so abstract. I mean, it's just very objective. It's not favoring anything. It's just art. It's a piece of art. And it's cool. But now, let me take this record. So, you take the record right here and you open it up. I mean, you got this jet that's looking all powerful, right? In motion. But then you open it up and you see let's see, here you go. There you go. You see that it crashed and it's just stuck in the ground. And this album cover totally represents the Beastie Boys pretty much throughout their whole career, but especially in the beginning, because the Beastie Boys, they weren't like, they didn't show themselves. Like, their first records they put out to the hip-hop world, they were unseen. I mean, you didn't know how they looked like. The first records they put out on Def Jam Records were 12-inch singles, and so you really didn't know how they looked. They sounded funny because back then, MCs, rappers in hip-hop in the early 80s, they all kind of had this sound to them, you know, this kind of like radio DJ voice, and this kind of like, you know, they just had this kind of this urban slang going on too, whereas these dudes were kind of, their pitch was a little whiny, and except for MCA, he had kind of like the you know, the raspy voice, the deeper voice, but just what they were talking about, like, you know, they were referencing like all these like things, these cultural things that the other hip hop records weren't even touching upon. And so it was kind of like they were kind of a mysterious group. And so this this record cover right here, this is also kind of misleading because, you know, you got the jet on the cover, but then when you open it up, you see that it's crashed. So it's like also mysterious because just when you think you know what it is, you open it up and then you're like, dude, what's going on here? So let me put this back. Let's see. All right. So so anyway, that's how the Beastie Boys were. You know, you heard the music and you thought, okay, this is some hip hop, right? Typical hip hop back then, pretty much, you know, black kids on the mic, uh, you know, catching wreck on the vocals and, you know, beats. It was seemed kind of like, you know, black culture, you know, black music, hip hop music. That was the impression. That's first impression right out the gate. That's what it is. So when Beastie Boys come out, you don't see them, but you hear in their voice and, like I said, the content, and you're like, these dudes sound different, man. And then you kind of think, as one thought back then, okay, you know, most of the kids that are in the hip hop are pretty much black kids and like Hispanic kids. So you figure, okay, these dudes are like, maybe they're on the East Coast, so maybe they're like Puerto Rican, right? I mean, that's what you would think. I mean, you got to understand, dude. Let me put some context into this. No internet, no images of hip hop. I mean, nothing, dude. There's nothing. You have very little to go by, so you're just kind of like thinking how a rational mind might think, you know. You got these, I mean, hip hop, it's coming from New York. You know, we're on the West Coast, so we're getting it secondhand, and the images of hip hop that we're getting are like black kids and Puerto Rican kids, you know, in the streets. And that's the imagery we're getting, you know, graffiti. We're seeing like, you know, DJs behind turntables, you know, maybe some club scenes, you know, but yeah, you're just not thinking that these dudes are white, which seems super absurd these days, you know, because hip hop music, it's pretty much just hip hop. It's been with us so long and it's so diverse and so big. It's just like it's just a music. You just like it's like a club. Hip hop is like a club, and it's open to the general public. You just go in, you know, pay your fee, you're in the club, no questions asked. But back then, there wasn't much. There was really no diversity in hip hop music. You know, pretty much all the artists that were coming out were all black, and there was no like I said, even the artists that were out, there wasn't that many images. Only like some of the artists that got kind of big, kind of popular in those old days. We're talking like 83, 84. Most of the album covers that were coming out, they were just 12-inch singles. There was no, there might have been some artwork, you know, maybe some graffiti, but there was no images, you know, there wasn't that many images. And the images that were out there, pretty much, you know, black kids, you know, black artists, and, you know, and that's it, dude. And if you turn the record, you know, to the back, and if they had like a posse picture where it's got like, you know, the people who are helping them with the music and everything, you might see some other shades of color in the photo. But pretty much back then, hip hop music was black music, and that's just the image that was out there, and that's it, you know. So so the Beastie Boys, man, so they come out, dude, and they're like, they got this something, this tone and these words and this whole a different attitude. You're like, what's up with these dudes? And I'm not even sure when. I think the first time they actually showed themselves before they went out and started touring with Run DMC, I think it was the 12-inch single for She's On It. I think that was the first, because they had images, because they had a video for that song, and they had clips of that video on the 12-inch single. I think that's the first time. I don't even know, dude. I should have done some research for this, but I never do. But anyway, so finally the Beastie Boys, they come out with an album, you know. And by this time they have so many hits. By this time Beastie Boys they're large. They're like, they're right behind Run DMC, man. And they are rocking the 808 kick drum on all of the tracks, Pretty much 90% of the tracks, they got that sustaining 808 boom. They got that going on. So all these beats, I mean, everyone's playing Beastie Boy beats because they got the bass, and back then it was all about the bass, For some people it was only about the bass. Who cares about anything else in the music as long as it has that boom? A lot of people just wanted that element of the song, of the music, and they were just a fan because of that. Others, because of the rhymes. Like, man, the Beastie Boys, they got their rhymes are hilarious, man. Cheaper than a hot dog with no mustard. I mean, just their whole attitude is like, it's just a whole different attitude, man. It's just it's like a TV attitude, because a lot of the references I remember getting from the Beastie Boys were like TV references, like pretty much 70s TV references. But just the most, just the whole spectrum, like, and some other like rap hip hop songs from those days, there might be these references like, street references, or, more black culture references, where, like I said, dude, the Beastie Boys, they're these three white kids from New York, man, Manhattan, the city, and which is the cultural capital of the country at that time. And so they're just, talking about everything, man. And with this sense of humor too, which is like, it was just all crazy, dude. So, like I said, I think the first time I saw them was on that 12-inch single for She's On It. But, I mean, the world caught a glimpse of the Beastie Boys when they went on tour. And I think they went on tour with Madonna, dude. Which, that in itself is crazy, dude. Because you got the biggest pop star of the time, and then you have the Beastie Boys opening up for Madonna. I don't think they were the only opener, but they were the first group to go on stage. And then after them, there was probably, a bigger artist, and then Madonna. But nevertheless, they were on the damn tour, dude. So, and then by then, hey, paparazzi, just all the music media at the time. Now Beastie Boys are getting photographed, and now you're seeing images. I mean, I never really saw any of that stuff because I wasn't really a consumer of music magazines at that time. I mean, we're talking, like I said, dude, like 85, 86. This album dropped in 86, dude. So, when you get this album, let me check it out here, dude. Let's see. So, there is... you open it up, dude. You open it up, and there they are, dude. I mean, check these dudes out, dude. They're like... They don't look like the typical hip-hop group. I mean, these dudes, they look like... they just look like some dudes from high school or something, man. Like, just some random dudes. You know what I'm saying? Like, you wouldn't think these dudes were rapping, right? Over 808 beats, So, anyway. Yeah, dude, that's just... That's just hilarious, dude. Let's see. So anyway, yeah. So the Beastie Boys, they're blowing everyone's mind, dude. Because, like I said, for years, the first single I got from the Beastie Boys was Beastie Groove, and that came out. I think it must have been 84, I think. And then after that, they dropped, what was it? It might have been Hold It Now. And then after that, Paul Revere. So they had like a string of singles that they were dropping. You know, they had the Slow and Low, 12-inch, She's On It. Actually, I think She's On It was the A side, and on the B side, it was Slow and Low. Anyway, but dude, they were putting records out, 12-inch records, singles, and they were hits. They were popular, man. They were being played. They were in heavy rotation, and Beastie Boys were getting more and more popular. And eventually, when this album came out, that's when they just blew the hell up, and they just became a phenomenon, dude. And they turned the rap and hip hop world upside down, dude. You know, it's like everything you thought about what rap or hip hop was, it wasn't that anymore. It was more than that. And it was legit. Dude, the Beastie Boys were legit. I mean, however crazy they were, or however different they looked, or whatever, man, as a hip hop group, they had all the elements, dude. Like, they had the rhymes, they had the style, and there's 3 of them, and they all 3 had these different voices. So when they're doing like the back-to-back rhyming, where they're, going back and forth, it's like, man, that's so old school, dude. That's like 70s hip hop old school. And Rick Rubin on the beats with the 808, kick drum, the sustaining boom, that at the time was just kind of like the prerequisite to put out hip hop. You had to have the 808. It just like, if you didn't have that, you were falling short. And like I said, on this album, 90% of the beats are 808, just, And these dudes were also putting out like distorted guitar riffs, like rock riffs, dude. Like they were dabbling in heavy metal and hip hop, So, and it was just, man, so many different, these guys were just, man, they were just letting the whole hip hop world know that, you know what? This hip hop thing, it could go anywhere. And these dudes were the first ones to just exploit that, like, to the fullest. I mean, there used to be like someone who listened to hip hop music, there was a stereotype of how they looked. And when the Beastie Boys blew up, that stereotype was shattered, dude. And you know what? I would even like, when this album came out, man, there were so many like jocks. And by that, I mean like dudes who were like playing sports, who were, athletes in high school and stuff. They were all into the Beastie Boys, dude. These dudes who like were driving these big old, 4x4 trucks, they were all into the Beastie Boys. Dude, skaters jumped way into the Beastie Boys. I mean, man, the Beastie Boys opened up the doors so wide. I mean, it was just, it would have been one thing if the music wasn't there and they did that. Then there might be like an argument to be made, like, oh man, these guys are just letting in a bunch of whack people to something that's whack. But the Beastie Boys were legit, and their music was funky, and they had, DJ Hurricane scratching it up on the records, and they had it all, dude. They had graffiti, Beastie Boy graffiti. Their logo was graffitied, and they were just legit in all ways. And they knew about old school hip hop history more than we knew about it, And by we, I mean the kids that got into hip hop in like '83. We didn't really know anything before '83 at that point, But the Beastie Boys, they already knew about stuff from like the '70s, growing up in New York and everything. So, yeah, man, super legit, dude. Now, okay. The first time I saw this album, I went to this party, and, a friend of mine was DJing, and there was a party in the backyard. They had like a bonfire going on and stuff, and they had sofas in the backyard. The house, it was like a big property, and it was outside of Santa Cruz, in this, it was in Watsonville, this town outside of Santa Cruz. But we went there, man. They had a couple of beer kegs. It was a kegger, dude. But they had a DJ, man. Dude, my man Mike was DJing, dude. Mike T, you know who you are, dude. So anyway, man, we went there, and I was like, yo, what's up, Mike? He's like, hey, what's up? He was DJing, and he's like, hey, man, you want to get on the tables? I'm all, hell yeah, dude. So I jumped on, and he had all these records. I think he had like 4 record crates, dude. So I'm going through his records, dude, and then I see 2 copies of the Beastie Boy album in his crates. And I was like, what? Because it just came out, dude. I saw the album in the store, but I didn't have any money to buy it. But I heard some of the cuts. Not all of the cuts on the album, but I heard a lot of them. And I was like, oh, dude, this guy's got 2 copies of the new Beastie Boy album. So I pulled them up, and I took it out, and I dropped it on the table, and I'm listening in the headphones, and I'm listening to some of these songs for the first time in the headphones at this party. I mean, there's people dancing and everything, it's like a full-on backyard kegger, dude. And I'm over here listening, and I'm like, and there was this one track, it was up-tempo, and I'm like, and it sounded like Miami bass. I mean, I've already broken down Miami bass in another video with MC Shy D. But yeah, Miami bass, it's just fast bass music. 808 kick, fast tempo. That's like Miami bass. And there was a song on here on the Beastie Boy album where it was up tempo, and it sounded like Miami bass. It's like boom, tss, boom, boom, tss, boom, tss, boom. I was like, dude, I gotta play this, man. So the song that was playing, I don't even remember what it was, but I just cut this song in because the tempo, I was running out of time. I just had to change the record. So I remember just cutting, I just cut it in, and the song was Brass Monkey, dude. And I just cut it in, Brass Monkey, that funky monkey. And everyone was like, oh, the bass is kicking. It's like a Miami bass song, but it's not. It's Beastie Boys, man. And they start rhyming, dude. Back to back rhyming, and the bass is all pumping. I was like, man, this is great, dude. So, but he had 2 copies, so I took the other copy, and I kept bringing that intro, because the intro was just the bass and this like sample, this, what instrument was that, dude? Oh, saxophone, the Brass Monkey, they're sampling this song, the saxophone, And so I just kept, catching that saxophone part with the bass, and I just kept it going, and the party was pumping. And then dude came back, and he's like, oh, what's up? I'm like, yo, man, Beastie Boy album, dude. What's up with this song, man? He's like, I know it's cool, huh? But he wanted to get back on, which I could understand, dude. I just wanted to get my hands, on the turntable. I was just going to cut it up real quick or something, but anyway, so he took over again, And after that, I was like, dude, I gotta get this record, man. So I think like the next week or whatever, I ended up getting a copy, you know. And when I got the copy, dude, you know, like I said, I was just stoked. I was like, and I started listening to all the songs in more detail, and I was just like, wow, dude, this is something, man. This is a classic album. Every once in a while in music, an album drops that just changes the landscape of the whole genre. And that's what this album did, man. It just kind of like, you know, those early singles, those 12-inch singles that were coming out, they were kind of like, you know, kind of like getting you ready for it. And at that time, too, in the early days of hip hop, things were just, they were trying different things just to, you know, hip hop was trying to find itself, you know, and it kind of found its sound for a minute until the Beastie Boys came out. And then the Beastie Boys said, nah, this sound isn't finished yet. We got something too. And then it just opened it up. And I was like, oh man, now what do we do? I mean, I guess you could do anything, I guess, you know? So anyway, so now this album, it comes out and it's like double platinum, dude. The album just blows up, man. And now it seemed like everyone was into hip hop when this album came out. Like people who, you know, probably never even liked rap or hip hop before, they heard this and it was like, yeah, now I can kind of get it. Now I kind of understand, you know, where you guys are coming from. This was kind of like the Beastie Boys were like a bridge for a lot of other people to, like, you know, to convince other people that, hey, you know what? This hip hop stuff, you can relate to this, man. You just got to get over the stereotype and open your mind just enough to get in. And once you're in, man, you're in, dude. And yeah, I would argue to say that Beastie Boys are like, at least this album, this is one of those like this album is monumental, dude. If you don't have this album, like if you have a vinyl hip hop collection and you don't have this album, that's a big hole in your collection, man. You gotta have this one, dude. It's just yeah, dude. It's just one to have. And I am definitely gonna do more videos about the Beastie Boys. Some of their earlier stuff, earlier than this album. But for now, yeah, Licensed to Ill. And the name of the album, dude, is called Licensed to Ill, which is, dude, I can't like point out any negative thing about this record here. This record has it all, dude. I mean, what is there to say that is, you know, from the artwork to the layout to the, you know, content. It's one of the early Def Jam record. I mean, everything about this is iconic, dude. You know, now I'm starting to babble, dude. So I think I better end this video because now I just don't even know what else to say. Because, you know, I don't really prepare for these videos. I try to keep it open, just off the top, what I know. Because, hey, man, I know what I know, dude. And if I got to go and do all this research, and you might as well be hearing this from someone who doesn't even know, who's not even a fan, you know, like a reporter or something. I'm just letting you guys know what this record means to me and what stories I have about it, you know. I got other stories too, man, but I think I got my point across. All right? Well, cool. There it is, man. Beastie Boys, Licensed to Ill. Listen to it. Get the album if you... Dude, I got 2 copies of this. So, you know, I ain't tripping, dude. If I see another copy of this for sale for the right price, I'll buy it again, dude. It's just kind of... It's just one of those things that I might end up giving a copy to someone, just to spread the wealth. But hey, man, you can't, don't sleep on the Beastie Boys. All right, then, that's all for me. If you like the video, go ahead and like it. If you want to subscribe, you can do that too. Otherwise, until next time, peace and vinyl.